Good morning and thanks for waking up with us to start your day. I'm Diamond Dickson. Hot weather continuing to set records in Texas. ERCOT issuing its second weather watch in a month. Higher temps are forecasted along with higher electrical demand and potential for lower reserves. Despite this, experts say the grid is holding up well. They say solar energy and other contributors are helping. Tornadoes ripping through the southern region of the country left massive damage and thousands without power in what is shaping out to be one of the most active tornado seasons in recent years. According to the National Weather Service, and it's not over yet, the massive multi-day storm is expected to impact a large swath of U.S. this week. Gloria Pazmino has the latest. Tropical Storm Nicole making landfall overnight as a Category 1 hurricane on Florida's east coast. Severe weather warnings are in effect across the Sunshine State and into Georgia and South Carolina. So far, more than 200,000 customers in Florida are without power. ABC's Josh Iniger has the latest from Jensen Beach, Florida. We're expecting a cold snap to sweep through Texas this week, begging the question if the energy grid is ready for the incoming high power demand, with the forecast peak above what ERCOT was expecting for the season. While the weather shouldn't be as bad as 2021's freeze, and ERCOT has said the lights should stay on through the colder temperatures, the National Weather Service has some tips for Texans to stay safe through the cold. Triple-digit temperatures are dominating the state of Texas, leading many Texas counties to enforce burn bans as numerous wildfires pop up across the state, leading Governor Greg Abbott to declare a wildfire disaster. Wes Moorhead is the Associate Director and Fire Chief for Texas A&M Forest Service. He says the department uses multiple airplanes to combat wildfires, but here in College Station, you'll find two Super Scoopers.
They are made to scoop off of open water lakes and then deposit that water onto an active fire scene. Other aircraft, they will be loaded at the airport with retardant or water and then fly to the fire location and drop it. They'll have to return to the airport and get reloaded.
These Super Scoopers are said to be rapid when dousing a wildfire, but exactly how much water can one of these air tankers hold?
So these in particular hold 1,400 gallons, which is a sizable amount of water. Typically a fire truck will hold around 500 gallons, and so 3 times the amount of water that a local fire truck can deliver.
Well over halfway into the year, Texas is burning away by acres.
Since January 1, we've actually seen 3,000 wildfires burn in the state of Texas, burning just a little over 100,000 acres. These triple-digit temperatures are actually driving the moisture out of the fuels and driving the wildfire scene that we have in Texas right now.
Over 60 days of no rain across the Brazos Valley and central Texas, hot and dry weather continues to fuel more fires. Moorhead says air tankers are most beneficial when helping firefighters fight wildfires on ground.
When you got a state as big as Texas, it really does take aviation assets like these to be efficient and effective when putting out wildfires. The Texas A&M Forest Service tells me that these two Super Scoopers will stay in College Station to help combat wildfires across the state until drought conditions improve. Reporting in College Station, Diamond Dickson, 25 News.
Our Diamond Dickson is live in Bryan with a look at how the northern counties in the Brazos Valley were impacted. Good morning, Diamond.
Good morning, Sade. Well, right now here in Bryan, there are no signs of storms moving through our area, but our neighbors in Leon and Madison County are still picking up the pieces from last night's storm. You can take a look here at some damage in Normandy from the Normandy Star. There are no injuries reported this morning. Moving north, we also spoke to residents at a gas station in Centerville, filling up quickly at the pump as the town went pitch black immediately. The Madison County Office of Emergency Management is asking everyone in the community to report any damages to damage.tdem.texas.gov. The county is still gathering information to access the damage that may have occurred. They're also asking that you report any damage to your insurance company, and the First Baptist Church of Madisonville is also open as a temporary shelter for those without power in the area. We'll continue to update you on air and online as more information becomes available. Reporting live in Bryan, Diamond Dickson, 25 News.
Our Diamond Dickson is live from the Brazos Valley, and Diamond, wind is expected to impact your area tonight.
That is a big concern here, Lauren. And as you can see behind me, the trees did have a little bit of wind gusts to them earlier, but not so much right now. It's been pretty calm. A local utility company told us that they have extra crew on standby to help with any problems. I spoke with Bryan, Texas Utilities, and they started preparing this morning for the impending weather. They have extra crew on deck to help with any power outages caused by fallen wires or blown transformers. But they also recommend you take steps to prepare, like removing any loose items in your yard that could knock out power. They also spoke about the importance of tree trimming for trees like these that could create a barrier in the road and to power lines. Reporting live in Bryan, Diamond Dickson, 25 News. Based on current fuel and weather conditions, the Texas A&M Forest Service has lowered its wildland fire preparedness levels from level 2 to level 1. Well, back in February, parts of Texas were experiencing elevated wildland fire activity, particularly in the Panhandle and across South and West Texas, raising levels from 1 to 2. Well, Aaron O'Connor with Texas A&M Forest Service says with more moisture on the ground, conditions are improving.
This was a result of just the increased rainfall that we've had, the decrease in wildfire activity, and we were able to release all the aircraft out of state. So based on that, that kind of triggered our lowering of the preparedness level.
Well, the wildland fire preparedness scale ranges from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest level of wildland fire activity across the state. O'Connor says for any potential wildfire activity to spark again, surface vegetation would need to be dried out, which could take upward of 4 to 5 weeks. But with more projected rainfall, our ground should hold up moisture pretty well over the next few weeks. With those temperatures climbing into the high 70s, and we're seeing how these unusual hot temperatures are affecting the Brazos Valley and one local farm and restaurant. The Texas A&M Forest Service says the hot and dry weather mixture could produce potential wildfires.
Across the state, we have freeze-cured or dry and dormant grasses. And with the cold fronts moving in the state this week, we're expecting to have increased wind speeds. And with our above normal temperatures, that is the environment that will be conducive to wildfire activity.
Whereas for one local farm and restaurant in Bryan, Ronan, warm days in January help their produce.
By having some of the warmer days, we'll get. Otherwise, we'd have to wait till almost March to really harvest anything. So we can plant them now, but with the cold days, the 40s and 50s, they'll grow, but they don't grow very big. Whereas these 70s and 80 degree days, the plants will get a little bigger there. The heat and a little more sunshine helps a lot.
And while we warm up Wednesday, a cold front's going to come in overnight and drop those temperatures into Thursday morning. In Bryan, Diamond Dickson, KRHD News.
Already around the 80-degree mark through much of central Texas, and it gets a little bit cooler back to the west, where you're seeing those 70s in San Angelo, and even
they take a little while to
60s
weaken, so it doesn't mean that
Panhandle.
as soon as they arrive on land, they just become tropical depressions.
Hurricane Harvey is a perfect example. The monster storm made landfall in Houston in 2017. Our area was affected by rain and floods.
We forget sometimes that it's the rain and the flooding that can be just as bad, if not worse.
Local meteorologists like Caleb work around the clock to provide the most timely and accurate forecasts. They work together with the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center.
Well, what do we do when it's out in the Gulf or in the middle of the ocean? We don't have radar out there. What we do have are satellites. We've got plenty of satellite data for that, whether it be infrared imagery to tell us what the clouds look like, how cold the clouds are, maybe what kind of rainfall they're producing.
You want to prepare ahead of time instead of getting caught in the storm.
Whether we're talking severe weather or hurricanes, emergency preparedness kits never hurt to have. We encourage you all to keep some of those at home with some essentials in the event you'd need it.
Where also says to have a 72-hour supply of water for each family member and cash on hand. Bryan, Texas Utilities continuing to restore power to customers in the area after severe weather wrecked homes and businesses over the weekend. The utilities company says just over 200 customers are still waiting for their lights to come back on after thousands of lost power reports flooded in. Crews are continuing to work as fast as possible before we face another week filled with potential thunderstorms. We're looking at some damages from a tornado that tore through North Texas earlier today. A massive winter storm system brought severe weather to a dozen states, from snow in Arizona to late season tornadoes here at home. The storm system is expected to keep moving east as the week continues. Governor Greg Abbott activating emergency response resources ahead of the expected severe weather. The governor activating search and rescue resources along with putting DPS, the Texas National Guard, and more agencies on standby. The governor also thanking all emergency response personnel who are working to protect Texans this holiday season. A massive storm system is now making its way northeast after battering the South and Midwest. At least 49 tornadoes were reported since Tuesday morning from Texas to Florida. And in Louisiana, 3 people have been reported dead in the wake of the storm. Heavy ice and snow are expected up north in the coming days. In January, we saw temperatures drop by 50 degrees on New Year's, which was followed by ice and freezing rain in February. On March 21st, an EF1 tornado struck the west side of Jarrell, with an EF2 tornado occurring near Granger later that afternoon. On April 12th, a major EF3 tornado hit homes west of Salado, ripping through Cedar Valley Baptist Church with a path over 16 miles long. Central Texas and Brazos Valley also experienced record-breaking temperatures, marking some of the hottest summer days in history, hitting 100 degrees for multiple days in a row. This led to drought throughout our area, malnourished plants and trees, impacting farmers and wildlife. The combination of drought and extreme hot temperatures led to wildfires sprouting through the lands of Central Texas and the Brazos Valley. With little rain in sight, grasses burned for hours, sometimes days, straining the resources of local firefighters and the Texas A&M Forest Service. Temperatures were steady from September through November, fairly warm with a few scattered thunderstorms and cold fronts. And to wrap up the year, December went out with a bang as the entire state of Texas experienced an Arctic blast, dropping temperatures in the teens for consecutive nights going into Christmas weekend. In Central Texas, this marked the second coldest Christmas on record. Reporting, Diamond Dickson, 25 News.